Alrighty, what's up, guys? Daddy here tonight, and we're gonna go over the GPU comparison tool that I've been working on. And if you've been watching this channel for any length of time, you may have already seen this tool, but I think it's gotten to the point now where it kind of deserves its own video. So what is this? This is a tool that will allow us to compare different GPUs and then try to get an understanding of what is the best GPU for your money. And eventually we can use this also to answer what is the best GPU for our particular use case or your particular use case. We're not quite there yet. And, to get there, I want to add some things like tokens per second for different models and, you know, stuff specifically related to like LLMs and stable diffusion. So people like myself and anybody else that's interested can understand, how does each GPU do with respect to a particular model or a particular, type or facet of deep learning. And then you can use that to make better decisions about which one you should buy and what price point works for you and all those other kind of things. But right now, the tool is still kind of in the early stages, but it's good enough now, I think, that it deserves its own video. So let's briefly take a look here at how this works. So here at the main page, or if you go to my homepage, so datadaddy.com, and then you go to hardware, the GPU comparison tool will take you here. And then you'll see all of these little cards with different GPUs on them. And it will have kind of the highlights, so the flops at 16, or I guess half, flops at single, and then at double. And then eventually we're going to add 8 and 4 here as well, hopefully. But anyway, this gives you an idea of the performance or at least the theoretical performance. And another thing I want to do is actually test this on each individual GPU and put the theoretical versus the tested. But that's coming down the line too. But for now, we just have the theoretical. So this should give you an idea of how the GPU should perform in each of those aspects, and then also the VRAM size, and then the bandwidth. And then to me, these are kind of like the 5 things that, or I guess, whichever one of these are most important to you, probably these days FP16. So this, the VRAM, and then the bandwidth are the 3 most important things when you're talking about or trying to consider what GPU you should buy. And the next most important thing is how much is this going to cost. And as a lot of you guys have pointed out, I've been reading the comments and the feedback, and it's not just the upfront cost. So yes, there is the cost of running the GPU and how long it takes to train, all those things, and that certainly will be something I add later. It's just a little bit difficult to do at this point without actually having all of these GPUs. So bear with me on that. It's coming. But for now, we're going to look at how much does it cost to purchase, and then these kind of 5 things as a highlight summary to get an idea of what is the best GPU for our money. So, and these are prices that are scraped from eBay. So this is the median price of like the first 100 or first 50, I forget which, relevant GPUs. And then this is the best of those. So basically it's if the eBay price or if the eBay listing has over 100 reviews, like over 100 positive reviews, then we will consider this as a relevant offer. So just kind of a way to make sure there's not any truly garbage listings that are included for the eBay best price. But okay, so we have those 5 things, and the goal here, or what I wanted to do, is I wanted to kind of get a summary and a one particular score to see how the GPUs stack up against each other. So this is, you can think of this as kind of a summary score here. So what does that actually mean? Well, if you click here and you wait a little bit, it'll load and it'll give you an overview of what these scores actually are. So these are referred to more broadly as the composite scores. And then, so first, we should talk about the performance composite score, because the price performance composite score is basically just one step added on to this. But basically it takes the floating point performance, so whichever one you're interested in, you can select the 16, 32, or 64. And again, like whenever I add 8, hopefully, and 4 in the future, those will be choices as well. And then basically what this does is it takes the floating point performance, the VRAM, the memory bandwidth, and then it min-max scales them because these are all in different units, so they're not really directly combinable. But when we min-max scale them, we get the a kind of relative performance against the top performer in each of these classes. And then since they're now kind of normalized between 0 and 1, we can directly add them. And then if we min-max scale them again, we can figure out, okay, what is the, if we take all of these and kind of smash them together, what is the best performance, kind of across the board with respect to all of these things. And then we also add in a little bit of weighting. So for example, basically each of these is multiplied by a weight, can be 0 to 1. And this impacts basically how much emphasis do you want to put on each of these things. Because you may not care much about memory bandwidth, but maybe you care a whole lot about VRAM size. Maybe that's the most important thing to you. So you can adjust this up closer to 1, so this has more impact on the overall composite score. So I wanted to make this flexible so that you can kind of pick and choose or decide what's most important to you when using this tool. And then there's just some formalization as far as how this is actually calculated. And then the same thing down here for price performance. The only difference is now instead of just looking at the GPU attribute itself, we're taking the ratio of the attribute to price because we want to get a dollar, basically performance or attribute of interest per dollar. So in this case, it would be floating point per dollar, VRAM per dollar, and bandwidth per dollar. And then we're again going through that same min-max scaling process, multiplying through by the weights, and then adding everything together, and then min-max scaling again to kind of get a final ranking, if you will, for all of these. And you can look at that from price to performance, and then you can also look at it just for raw performance. So that's the two composite scores here that basically these are sorted. These are sorted with by default, and so that brings us kind of to the next point here. This is all of the filter options, and I added a ton of filter options here from the first because that was one of the things, the major points of feedback is that people didn't like the initial filter I had set up, and I don't blame anyone. It wasn't the greatest, but I think this one's much better, and hopefully this will allow for a lot better comparison. I've used it quite extensively, and I think it's significantly better than the first one. But anyway, with regard to these composite scores, when we select this, you can see that the default is FP16. The default is price per performance, and then we're using the median price here. And then the weights are set just what I like or what I would use to look through these GPUs, but you can set this however you like. But I have basically a 0.4 weighting for performance, 0.4 for VRAM, and then 0.2 for bandwidth. Or in other words, 40% weighting for performance, 40% for VRAM, and 40% for bandwidth. So that's how these are organized and ranked by default. And then they're also sorted in descending order. So you can see the quote unquote best choice first. Now, again, this is a bit subjective because this doesn't take into account all the things that you need to think about before you would actually purchase a GPU. So this score is not saying which one you should buy. It is just saying, how on paper, how much you get for your money. There's a lot of things to consider, which we'll talk about in just a little bit before you make any decisions. But anyway, you can play around with this. You can set it to 32. You can set it to performance, and you can set it to best price or whatever, and it'll recalculate all these things for whatever you want. So that's how you can change and play with the composite score. So hopefully that's helpful to you. we'll reset everything and we'll go back. And the other options here, you can sort the list however you want. So you can sort it descending, ascending, and then you can look at things like price. That's a big one. So eBay, median price. This is descending. Let's say we want ascending, so we can see what the cheapest options are first. And there you go. So, you could, and then you can also look at literally anything else. I tried to put anything here that I thought people might be remotely interested in. And if there is anything else that's missing that you want me to add, please let me know in the comments and I'll be happy to do that. Okay. And this is probably what I think most people will be interested in right here is the GPU attribute filtering options. So this is all the attributes I thought were relevant or interesting, you can sort by. So let's say that, for example, you are interested in the median price for a particular GPU. Let's say that you have a max budget of $500. So that's going to automatically sort out all of the things that are $500 and under. So you don't have to worry about anything that is beyond that. And let's say that, okay, I don't want anything less than 12 GB of VRAM. So there you go. That reduces your options even more. And now you've got everything between that price and with more than 12 gigs of VRAM. And then maybe you're like, okay, I want something that I only want to look at architectures that are like older, like Volta, we would say that's fine. Ampere, Ada, Blackwell. Let's see, what are some other newer ones? Hopper, and Turing will probably be fine as well. So we just want all of the newer architectures, and you could even take Volta out and Turing out if you want. You just want to focus on the really newer GPUs. Anyway, yeah. So let's go look. So basically, that leaves us with just the RTX 5000 series, or the 5070. And in this case, the price is 0 because these two haven't even been actually released yet. So there is no price data for them. But I just included them because eventually they will be released, I think in like 4 days or so, and there should be price data here. So this should automatically update once that happens. But yeah, so then basically it looks like the choice between, for all of those constraints would be the RTX 3060, and you can see that it has a fairly decent score, and you can go back and you could compare that with other GPUs that are near it, and you could see, what that actually looks like, or how this kind of stacks up against others before you make your decision. And then once you are ready to make your decision, you can click on eBay Best Price, and this will take you over to eBay. And then you can see, it already has done all the filtering for you. And then you can buy this if you want, or just look around for similar things that are related, whatever you want. And one thing to note, these are affiliate links. So this is an affiliate link. And then if you go over here into the full info, these here are affiliate links as well. So just any link that you click on will be an affiliate link, but it's no cost to you. It just helps me out a little bit. So, if you don't mind, it does help me. So I'd really appreciate it if you would use the links if you are going to buy one. But you don't have to. There's no pressure there. Yeah, and then this brings us to another part of the tool is the full info. So this, gives you pretty much everything that you could ever want to know about a GPU. There may be some things I'm missing, and if there is, just please let me know in the comments, and I'll try to add it. But you have the general information here: release date, processor size, architecture, everything related to clock speed. Any kind of additional information that might be useful to make decisions as far as like, does it have outputs or not? What is the TDP you're looking at? Is it dual slot? Is it single slot? Excuse me. All of the compute specifications, maybe you're a gamer and you care about like ray tracing cores and things of that nature. This is here as well, so you can kind of make a decision, not just for AI, but maybe you have other interests, and this should provide you some better information or well-rounded information to make decisions there. Of course, the memory, and then the raw performance, so floating point performance, and then texture rate and pixel rate up here. So, and then also just a nice little summary to tell you kind of what it was designed to do or what it was designed for. Yeah, so that's pretty much summary here. And then you can see the GPU prices over time. And then if you want, you can adjust this to, whatever is relevant, like the last month, or by default it's set to view for the entirety of the data we've collected. So it's only been going a couple of months now, but eventually there should be years of data here. So should allow you to kind of see how things are trending. And yeah, that's pretty much it here for the full information. We'll add a bunch of stuff here as this app kind of matures, or this tool matures. And then the last thing I don't think I've touched on yet is, let's just go ahead and reset everything. Let's just say that you've narrowed it down to a couple of GPUs that you're excited about, and you can come down here and you can say, okay, let's say that maybe I only want to look at the supers. Maybe I'm curious to see how the supers all stack up against each other. So you can deselect all, and you can select all 5 of these super GPUs, and we can say, okay, how does this, let's rank these. Okay, cool. We're already ranked for descending for composite score. Okay, so good. So it looks like the RTX 2070 is the best by a pretty significant margin, actually, followed by the 2060, and then 2080, and then the 4070 Super, and then the TI Super, and then last we have the 4080 Super. So if you were interested in these GPUs, hopefully this could help you kind of pick to see where you're getting the best bang for your buck. And maybe you're like, okay, well, I need something with 16 gigs of RAM. So that kind of limits me to these two, and I'm getting a better deal if I buy this versus this. So, this is kind of a good example of where you might be able to, figure out where to save the most money, because if you look, here's the best price for this GPU, and here's best price for this GPU. So, in theory, you could save $400 and have pretty comparable specs to what the 4080 had. So anyway, I think this is where the value is here, being able to kind of make these comparisons and see, is it really worth the extra money that I'm about to spend on this particular GPU? Yeah, guys, that's the beauty of the tool. I hope that, it's useful to you. I know that there's still a lot left to be done. I really appreciate all the great feedback in the comments. It's really given me a lot of good ideas of things and ways to improve this. I know that one big thing is that, the data, or the price data, is specific to the U.S. And unfortunately, I haven't yet expanded it outside of the U.S. That's coming. There is a way for me to do that. So, hang tight. That was a great suggestion. That's something that I'm going to work on including. Also, here before too long, I will make some builds. Like I will make a parts list of all of the builds around particular GPUs that I like. So that way it's not just the GPU, it's the all the other hardware that goes around it to get a full build for particular use cases. So that's kind of on the horizon as well. But yeah, guys, that's I guess a short look of things to come. And of course, if there's anything you'd like to see, please leave it in the comments, and I'll absolutely do my best to try to get it built into the tool, or build something else that's tangential and useful. So as always, guys, thank you. I appreciate you listening, and I will see you in the next one. All right, guys, brief reminder here. If you enjoyed the content, please consider giving me a like and a subscribe so I can continue to grow and produce better and better content for you. If you really enjoyed the content, you might even consider buying me a coffee.
and the link for how to do that will be in the video description below. If nothing else, please just give me some feedback in the comments and let me know how I'm doing, if anything's unclear or if there are anything that I can improve on. Thank you again, guys, and have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.